Winner's Edge Chiropractic Success Case Study with Chase O'Keefe, DC. I'm just going to jump right in here and let him do most of the talking. So, all right, where are you right now in the world? Give us some of the geography and then we'll go from there.
Yep. So Chase O'Keefe, I'm in Clear Lake, Wisconsin, which is the northwest corner of the state, about 45 minutes to an hour from the Twin Cities. Yep. Rural Wisconsin.
Okay, so you got this community there, but yet you can access the big city when you need to and the big airport and all that stuff, right? But you got all the advantages, and there are many to being in a community like that, not only where you live, but of course where your practice is. Okay, where'd you go to chiropractic school?
Yeah, I went to Life University down in Atlanta, Georgia, and graduated in 2016, the fall of 2016.
Graduates in the fall of 2016. Of all the choices, how did you end up at Life?
So I had, with Northwestern being right next to us, I had people telling me to go to Northwestern, but I had talked to the person who got me kind of engaged in chiropractic was Dr. Lona Cook. She was actually the one who told me, don't waste your time going there. Go check out, and I think at that time she called it a MediPractor college. And so I got hooked up with the crew down at Life and came down for a weekend and just, fell in love with the university, the philosophy, everything they have, right there. And I thought, I grew up in central Wisconsin. Why don't I get out of, I was 20 years, 22 years old at the time. Let's get out of town for a little bit. Let's get out of the Midwest and go explore and live down there. So
it would have been so easy just to hang out in the Twin Cities, but you said, heck with it. I'm going to head down to Atlanta, okay, and hang out there. So down to Life you go, graduate 2016. Now, I failed to recall, but was Sid Williams still around?
He was not.
He was not.
No.
Okay. All right. So let's go to this now. Okay. How did we meet?
Yeah, so it was in undergrad. I was going through whether I wanted to go to physical therapy school or I wanted to go.
Yeah, I think you even came to a seminar.
Yep.
Right?
And yep, I got talking to Lona Cook because I wanted to do an internship with her office, and she invited me to come to. Actually, I've been to two True Success seminars before I even went to chiropractic school. Yeah. And so that's where I met you, and then went off to school and
I can recall that, and I can even recall where you were sitting in relation to her, being a student and all that, you know what I mean? Wow. Wow. Look how fast time flies. Okay, exactly. So you're cruising along, you're going through Chiro school, you're scoping out, you're probably thinking you're going to come back to the Wisconsin, Minnesota area. So what made you join?
Yeah, so I had gotten into a different consulting group when I was in chiropractic school because there wasn't much student. Because I remember I think it was like the week 3 or something. I called you up and was like, "Hey, are you doing any student coaching?" And you said, "Well, not quite, but get some students together and maybe we can put something together." And I had some classmates that were part of a different group at the time. And so I joined in with them thinking, well, I'll just do this and see what happens. And I ended up graduating with that consulting group that had actually split into 2 different consulting groups.
Interesting.
And then after, I really just got to a point where I was probably a year and a half into practice in my first office.
Yes.
And just felt stuck,
yes.
Nothing was organized. I was trying to piece things together. It just was not a well-oiled machine.
Wow.
And I was feeling frustrated and just didn't know where to turn. And that's when it really just kind of came back to me as far as, hey, I need to reach out to Tory and get a hold of you. And that's what I did and stopped that consulting and joined on with you.
Okay, so when you were a student and hanging out with this sort of group, were you paying anything?
I did. I had an initial startup one time. I think it was, a couple thousand, maybe $1,000, $2,000 to start up.
$2,000 while you're a student?
Yep.
To kind of get in the club. And now, and it's like shame on me because I think a lot of our student membership stuff happened after that. Yeah. And this might have been one of the many reasons why is because with student, it was like, and it's like shame on us for not having something available for you like we have now. that students, and
Sure.
we got people joining literally a week after they get to chiro school. Wow. Okay, so you feel stuck and you feel like you're not getting fed with the information you need for the big challenges of owning your own practice. Okay, so you came back and you bought a practice. Just tell everybody how you got going in practice after graduation. So you graduated when, and then you were up and running when, where, and give us that scoop.
Yeah, so graduated September of 2016, moved back to Wisconsin because I was married. We got married in June of that year, but we opened up, basically moved back to my wife's hometown, and then we opened a clinic in Stillwater, Minnesota, so about a 45-minute drive from where we lived, thinking that's where we wanted to be, and opened that one in the end of January, early February of 2017. And then took off from there. So we were kind of in the middle of everything through that summer, and then
Oh yeah,
when I
that's right.
graduated, we were able to finish up a few things and then get going early that year of
Yeah, yeah.
2017.
So you started that practice. You didn't buy a practice.
Didn't buy it.
Okay,
No.
so listen, everybody. He goes back to Wisconsin, but he starts a practice 45 minutes away. Got to drive there. Can't go home for lunch. Okay, in this beautiful town called Stillwater, which is a very unique town. And we've started to draw some conclusions on that particular area as far as having a chiropractic practice there. Okay, so you're rolling in practice there. We get connected. You join. All right. So when we joined, how many visits were you seeing a week?
Yeah, so we, the typically average before I joined Winter's Edge, I was probably around 80 visits a week.
Yeah.
The best collections I had was maybe $13,000 to $15,000 in a month. Just really, no new patients, very little new patient activity.
Yeah, what was
And
happening
I was
debt-wise?
doing everything. I felt like I was doing all the, I was going doing the screenings, I was doing the lunch and learns, I was, and I just like, something just, and it really came down to what was happening in my office that I couldn't see, and that's where it really went from what I was doing to what I implemented.
Yeah,
was
that
yeah.
really is something. What was happening debt-wise in your life?
Yeah, I had a practice loan, basically had a couple different loans through that. Basically, again, some kind of poor advisement there as far as family loan, equipment loans. Had a loan out on who I was paying for my consulting.
Really? You had a loan?
Yeah,
You owed him
again,
money?
well, it was basically it was him trying to put what I was his coaching fee into, trying to wrap it into, so I bought some equipment, but then we threw his kind of the coaching fee in there. So then I ended up having to pay. It was, I don't know, I think it was like a 14% loan, and then I had to pay 10% when I wrapped it up to close it out. So it ended up being
Criminal. And
a really
what'd you have for student loans on top of it all?
Yep. So I started at about $240,000 in student loan debt, and then we had that practice debt. We didn't have any vehicle debt. And my wife, we were living in a farmhouse that my in-laws had owned that my wife was reconstructing or kind of redoing at the time. So
it was real nice. You could live easy, which was nice. Okay,
yep.
then your student loans. What happened with your student loans? Were you paying them down or were they growing on you?
They were growing. I was, I wasn't collecting enough. I wasn't, doing enough to even really pay myself much of anything. So I kept deferring them. And again, with my blinders on, not really understanding what was going on. And before I knew it, they had grown to $290,000 in that.
290. They grew $50,000 of after-tax money.
Yeah.
Now, in the coaching group you had there, didn't they talk about student loans and debt and money flow and interest and acceleration and all of that?
Short answer is no. And that's
Of course
the
not.
funny thing is the question, always came up of what do I, how do I manage this? And it was just like, oh, don't worry about your student loans. Like it'll pan out. And it's just like, okay, well, what's the plan? And there was no plan. There was no
Wow.
plan for that. It was just, don't worry about it. And yeah,
Wow. Okay, how about saving and investing at that time?
nothing.
Yeah, forget that. Or money and investing knowledge you had at that time. Yeah.
None. Yeah.
All right. What were your biggest stresses then, Chase?
Yeah, I mean, that was the biggest thing of just I'm having my wife who is, leaving her job to help me in the practice, just to follow this big dream that we had. And now we have kids on the way. We had our first daughter and now a second one's on the way, and hardly paying myself anything. And it's just like, here I'm supposed to be the provider. And, one thing I talked to her about is, one of the biggest things was if something became an issue, it was actually she would reach out to her dad saying, hey, what do we need? Can you help us with this? And like
Oh,
talk
and you
about,
don't want to, my wife's dad? No.
yeah, and as much as I love him, but it was like that. It was just like,
Too embarrassing.
destroying me,
Oh,
because it wasn't going the way that we had,
all right. Okay,
wanted.
so he painted a beautiful picture for us, didn't he, everybody? Now, how about this? What was your attitude right then about practice or about money or kind of about life or about what you thought it was going to be? Where were you out there? You're
Yeah, it
generally a
was.
happy human being, but what was going on then?
Sure. Yeah, I think, still having that same mentality, but very defeating, where you don't know what's did I make the right decisions? Did I,
Oh
a
my
lot of
God, yeah.
questioning of, where I was at, what I was doing, you know, yeah, it was a defeating time of,
Yeah. He's using the D
where,
word, isn't he? Defeating, which goes along with doubt, which goes along with being disappointed. Okay. And then your wife is going, hey, I didn't sign up for this either. And all these things are going on, right? You got kids' responsibility. And you got the father-in-law, who's observing from a distance, right? And all of this stuff. So there's a lot going on. Okay. So you join the group and we start to go to work, some seminars, trainings. We have all these videos. Now we're just going to go, boom. What's your best visits in a week now?
yeah, our best was 501 visits in a week, and then we average. Right now we're averaging around that 425 a week,
Yeah.
which is
And you feel good. It's with your schedule tightened up, your 400 visits a week. It's a graceful, smooth day and great. So we've got the volume right where he wants it, okay? But hold on a second here. We forgot to mention you're cruising along here. And then there was a big, big, big decision to be made. And I remember exactly where I was sitting with my headset on, looking at a screen, talking with Jace O'Keefe. Okay. And I'm sure that somewhere along the line I said, sell it and move. How'd that all go down? And what was your decision
yeah,
making process there?
exactly. That's what it came down to was, where I was commuting that 45 minutes, and, I was there Monday through Saturday. I was doing Saturday hours, and it finally came to it with the kids. I said, something's got to change. Either we got to move or we got to sell. And that's where you had said, no, you need to, go
Yeah.
where where your family, where you want to be. And we found out that that's where we wanted to be, was
Yeah.
back where we're
Yeah.
actually living.
Yeah.
So we sold that practice in July of 2019. And then we started a brand new practice from, again, scratch,
Yep.
in my wife's hometown,
Yep.
in
Yep.
1,300 square feet, and got open by September of
Yeah.
2019.
So look at the big decision he made. Now it's either this, either, honey, we're moving to the town where the practice is, or we're going to get rid of this practice. And I go, your life is there. And what he said, and I will never forget this, that's where their church is. That's where their community is. That's where everybody knows them. And sure enough, you show up there and probably, and you have to look back at this and even be a little bit amazed, is things start to go the way they're supposed to go. What happened when you got that place open?
Yeah, so within 8 weeks, we cranked up to 250, 300 visits a week. And then coming up into the new year is when we were able to hit
Yeah.
that 500 plus,
Yeah.
because of the systems. Again, we had the right setup. The building was laid out because we walked through the care plan, or the whole floor plan with
Yeah.
you, and everything was set up how it was
Yeah.
supposed to. We had
Yeah.
everything in place, and yeah, we were able to see the volume.
Yeah, it's the most classic example. That's why this is such a great case study, is he got to where he belonged, the family was, okay? Got the right spot, the layout was right, systems, forms, procedures, treatment time, scripting, okay? Got some money flow in order, some discipline, some accounting, all of this stuff, debt elimination ideas are on the radar there, but we got to get some money coming in to get that going, okay? And he hits and boom, things explode into change. Okay, wow. Then what happened debt-wise? Because you went on a record-setting rampage here. Go ahead.
Yeah, so when we started growing that fast, I'm in communication with my accountant saying, "Hey, give me the green light of when we can start rolling this thing." Because again, that thing was growing it grew $50,000 in that period of time, and it was the start of the new year. So right when we hit the visits of 500, we got the green light, and I started hammering down on my student loans, and that 290,000 went down to zero in 13 months.
Think about
And
that, everybody. I want you to really hear what Chase just shared with us. He was able to live lean, and thank God for your wife and all that. Just say it's quite a story now, right? You guys can sit around, right, while you're out there eating watermelon as you're wakeboarding, okay, and talk about, well, we lived in this and we didn't have dirt. You know what I mean?
okay.
But he decides to attack instead of what? Getting brand new Suburbans, okay? He said, let's live lean. And you basically took all of the extra money, paid tax. You just paid two things. You paid tax, and he just attacked the student loans. How frequently were you making payments?
Yeah, daily to weekly. Anytime I had money coming, I'd be always checking my account to see where things were at, and either calling. Had Bill as my accountant through Gulf Coast, and I was in constant communication with him, just saying, "Hey, am I good? Am I good?" And
Yeah.
just literally everything was going that direction to
Yeah.
get it going.
See what he's sharing with us, everybody. He's calling the accountant. Why? Because he doesn't want to just take the money and put it here and then they get behind on tax. He doesn't want to have that happen. He doesn't like that feeling. He had that for too long. Okay. So make sure the taxes and we got enough set aside because that's after tax money. Okay. And he starts to hammer. And what happens here is he learns the winner's edge rapid fire system and says, hey, I can do that. I got some money. I got the debt. And he applied what he had learned, and it really worked like a charm. Yes.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, fantastic. Wow. Okay, where do you stand now on money and investing in knowledge compared to the early days?
Yeah. So, well, two things. So, getting that student loan debt gone, it's amazing, and we've had this conversation where the feeling it's given me, the weight it's lifted, but also just the amount of the focus that we're able to put into that debt elimination now just makes things feel just simple, and just there's a passion and drive to be able to just have the determination to see things, and not be fearful of whether it's changing facilities, or the house, or the mortgage, any of that, because it's all, again, it's all there.
Yeah.
But getting rid of that and now being able to turn around and be in the house that we want to be
You
in,
tell them about
looking
getting the
at.
house with the pool. Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah,
lifestyle goes up immediately, right?
lifestyle gets to go up, but then also having even the discipline of getting the winner's edge system of, okay, where does my money now need to be
Yes.
allocated? So it doesn't just go to lifestyle, but now I can look at my investments and everything that's growing over here to see that number continue to increase.
Oh, yeah.
Which, even again, it's amazing to see where in the last 4 years, from, okay, we paid off that 290, and now basically my savings is almost twice as much as what I just paid off in that student loan debt.
Just think about it. By paying off the 290, it saves you 300,000 in interest. Okay, and if you can pay down 290, then you can start to save and invest. And then, of course, with all the money training and stuff you've had, you see growth. So, would you say you have a clear plan, basically all the way until you want to retire? Like you have a workable plan. There's lots of different things people can do, but for the chiropractor, in keeping the stress the lowest, the least amount of entanglements and messes to deal with. So you got practice, and you got home, family, and lifestyle, and you don't no time for really anything else, and you feel confidence there. Yes.
I do.
Oh, incredible.
And that's the beauty of it, is it's the having it into place, so my mind isn't having to be occupied with keeping track of everything. It's all automated, and I know that with the what's going into it over time, it's going to win.
Yeah, it's a system, and like we talk with people here, there's all these little systems: team huddle system, team meeting system, money flow system, accounting system, saving system, okay, report system, resign system, wellness plan. It's just a bunch of little systems you get in place. Why?
Right.
Automation, so you can just have a mental freedom versus being bogged down 24 hours a day. What would you say is different about Winner's Edge from any other groups you've seen?
Yeah, I think back to the comment earlier of, I like to envision the picture of, you ever see the picture of the horse, and half of it's like artistically drawn, and the other one's like a little kid that outlined it. Really, I like, that's what I really truly believe.
That.
You go from having some of this stuff, again, just from what I had before, to again, okay, what do I find for a building? Well, just go find what's available. Okay, what does my layout need to be? Well, just copy what I did, or just whatever you feel like doing, versus like, no, like this checkbox system, that covers everything from, again, not only just practice, but money, again, all of our, health, fitness, career, money, everything is being addressed and covered, which you don't find.
And they all work with each other, because financial trouble, that you're stressed out, it affects the relationship and all of that stuff. But notice here, really, and Chase knows how I feel on this. Most people out there doing consulting really have no business doing it. They just want to. They're not doing it for the reason they're supposed to be, but they don't even know what reason they're doing it for, because they're not aware of themselves. They just like hearing themselves talk, or sometimes it's called the babble effect. They just want to talk a lot. And since whoever talks a lot, people will naturally want to start to listen to, because they're the one talking all the time, whether it has much merit or not. So we went from amateur to pro land. Wow. Okay, what are some of your favorite parts of like the program itself? Like what you get for your money in paying to be in the group?
Yeah.
Like what?
For me, I love the weekly calls that I have with you, where it keeps the accountability. It keeps me, it just keeps my focus on task versus, I've gone to where I was, I was like, oh, I'm fine. I can go out to, once a month, or I can just do the call in cruiser. But then I said no, because then really I never made the calls and never came in. But having that accountability to say, hey, I need to have that check-in process. But even, the Winner's Edge group as a whole, I look at just the camaraderie within the whole crew. The Facebook
your whole
page,
reference group.
You have so many people to get feedback and information off of how you're doing things, or hey, can you look at this? But even too of that next push to say, well, hey, if Jim can do that,
oh yeah, that's happening all the time.
It's you having
healthy.
Exactly. There's healthy competition that, again, just not necessarily I need to beat somebody, but I'm gonna if he can do it, can I do that?
Yeah, everybody loves it if I send a little list out of what people are doing, because everybody's looking through it going, what, 100,000 a month in the 10th month open? That's the new Winner's Edge record. Okay. Just like Chase here holds the student loan record. Now we have another gal, Bethany, that came close, 284,000, but she didn't catch Chase. Oh, that's fantastic stuff. And I know there's a lot you could say about that. We could probably talk for a few hours. What are some of your favorite parts of the money training that you've had here?
It's always
besides just having it available to you.
Yeah,
because it doesn't exist anywhere else.
Availability, but it's always, one thing that I feel like there's always refinements happening. It's not just here it is, but it's because the money system, the money game is always changing.
Always.
It's looking at, okay, where is the next best move? How do we utilize what we have? And I think that's what I love about, even not only that, but even within Winner's Edge and with you, is there's no one that is on top of it as much as you, Tory.
Because I do this 365 days a year. I never take a day off. Even though I might be on some sort of boat excursion, as soon as I get there, the laptop comes out, I'm fielding emails, handling things. It's just, I love the feeling of being productive, and I'm committed to my mission of reaching people. Like Chase is committed to his practice, but he's also committed to the family, committed to the kids, and these other things too. He's got to have that sort of balance. I don't have those things. I have one thing that I focus on, and that's sort of my calling to do as I see it for now. Okay, a couple other things here. Oh wow. Okay. Why would you say all chiropractors should be in the Winner's Edge group for at least a few years after they graduate? They need to know what that they don't really get anywhere else.
Yeah, the biggest thing, even I look at my, through school of, you don't learn any of the again, you take an hour, 2 hours with one patient. You don't learn the actual system of, how do I apply this to real life? And to be able to go into a group like Winner's Edge, to be in Winner's Edge and get everything in place. So the system is taken care of.
It becomes so part of your life. You don't even realize that there's all of this stuff that you have there. Like, oh, it's just always been that way. No, like the money flow diagram, that only exists here. Okay, all this stuff and these other things. So and all the chiropractic business. Okay, we are like the chiropractic business, money flow authority, systems authority, and all of that stuff. And you take advantage of it. Chase is a good student. He wants to listen and learn. Very perceptive, very smart. And then turn around and apply successfully. And that's what he's done and wants to continue to do. Because do you feel like you've gotten there?
No.
No. No. Learning and growing. And now it gets more exciting, right? Because now you can learn and it's of more interest. And you want to refine and push, okay, and see what you're able to do. More efficiencies, right? And of course, with your investments, get to where you're generating more and more passive income. Is there anything more exciting than seeing passive income?
It's great.
Very few things. Seeing a kid, get up on a wakeboard for the first time, very exciting. Getting dividends, very exciting. Okay, you can't say it's better, but it's up there, right? Because you feel like you're being rewarded finally versus always having to pay. All right, so do you have any unique, funny, convicting, or any Tory stories? Okay.
Yeah, well, two. One is kind of again, kind of my initial exposure. So when I first started with Winter's Edge, and part of the, before where you would actually go and tour offices, I remember talking to Lona previously, and she shared a story of like, oh yeah, Tory, you'd come out to the offices, and I remember he came into my Chippewa Falls office and he immediately grabbed a garbage bag and he just started filling that thing with had it full. And so when you said, hey, I'm going to come out to Stillwater, and I got I think you had Alicia and Katie with you at the time, my heart's like, oh god, I'm gonna, it's just one of those.
Remember that red tile you had? And the adjusting tables were up in the front, and you had that front desk over on the right when you came in. Then you had a big office. It was a beautiful space, but it really needed to be gutted out and redone, but it would have taken so much money. And it's in one of these towns that's like, it's a town you don't start a practice in. It's kind of cursed somehow. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And do I let things slide? I'm mentioning this with everybody. I don't let I know where Chase wants to go and the caliber that he wants to reach. And so we have calls and events and this, and I'm looking, especially the high performers, I'm scanning for anything I can attack if it's not congruent with what people say they want to get to the high ground. That's why he enjoys and pays, right? To have a more frequent call so we can stay sharp and stay current and stay fresh, and then he can continue to grow and also be a leader and help other people in the group. And we'll have more opportunities for Chase to continue to do that as we go down the road. Okay. Anything else you want to share, Chase? What a great case study. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think that's, because two things even on that is, I remember the last Guardian X, meeting that we had. I came down to that meeting 6 o'clock in the morning with no notepad, no pen, and you called me out on it, and I appreciate that because it comes from a place of caring and saying, why wouldn't you have that information? But then
that was a good one. That's one of my favorites. That's one of my favorite ones for the whole year. Yeah, we had a high level training in the morning just for the high performers. We got the Guardian group and the GX group above that, and there's a group above that, okay, that's in formation. And he came down and he's got the systems going. He's paid the debt. He's in good shape, everybody. I mean, he's in the top, really 1/10 of 1% of chiropractors as far as you're on the right road. But I have to sit there and go, aha. Okay, and I'm hoping for this with people. I hope people like you, I hope I can find something that I can dig into, because I always want to keep a little bit of fire, a little bit of conviction, a little bit of sharp, because that's what happens is you start to get good and then you want to start to do that. And that's our enemy. And I try to be there, okay, to help get us through those times so that we can continue to grow. And then here you are continuing to flourish. And
the other side of it too is, then even I think back at when we had the GX getaway and, the day wraps up and then we can, you and we took your boat to the to TNT and we came back and there we can sit eating an ice cream sandwich, looking out over Haulover Marina, just having a sandwich. And it's such an appreciative thing where again it's a heartfelt. You can be hard, but we can also have
of course
enjoy those things.
What I'm doing too, people, and Chase will attest to this, is a lot of times I might get on someone's case because I want this gal over here to hear it. And I know that. And sometimes I'm going to sacrifice somebody because I want everybody else to hear it and have it be for the good of the group. I'm not much for pulling, you really should do this or do that. I'm going to do it in front of the group. I'm going to do it in front of the biggest crowd I can because I want to light a fire among as many people as I can because we want the whole group to grow. We grow together, don't we? Yeah. And that was a fun day in the fire breathing monster and with the helicopter and all that. It was a great day. It was just a perfect high level training out on the water here in South Florida. And then we had a chance to get rid of everybody and I think what we did, oh yeah, we had to take the boat over to the new marina, and then we took an Uber back over to get the vehicles and said, hey, let's kill some time and get a couple ice cream sandwiches. Yeah, oh, that was a great time. We look forward to more times like that. All right, fantastic stuff. Okay, great case study here with Chase O'Keefe over on the beautiful western edge of Wisconsin, not too far from the Twin Cities, with his beautiful practice, family, and of course, we didn't even have a chance to talk about his expansion and growth and collections growing and so many other things, okay, as he's learned and applied and of course inspired many others along the way. Okay, thanks, Chase. Talk soon. Later.
Yeah.
Rock on.